It's
Meeting is
starting.
now streaming live on custom live streaming service. Is it working, Victor?
Yep, it's supposed to start any moment now.
Wow, unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yes, Rabbi, you're live on Facebook now.
All right, Victor,
And
you
YouTube.
have to, by the way, Victor, you're the one who has to record because you're actually the host.
Oh no, how do I do that?
Okay,
How do I record? Oh wait, here.
I'm not sure
Record on
about.
this computer.
Okay. All right, let us begin. We are now live. We're live on Facebook and YouTube, and we got
And
this new
CNN.
platform with different possibilities. So we're going to be able to broadcast the entire world, God willing.
Yeah.
That's the amazing part about this new universe we live in. We can teach Torah to the entire world, and that is awesome. All right, I want to talk about Shavuot. Yeah, that's right, Tar. So Shavuot, I want to claim to you, is by far in the general world, the secular world, general world, is the least understood holiday by far. It is the least known, and it's the least understood. And that's not good. You know why it's not good? Because it's probably the most important. It could be the most important of all the holidays. As a matter of fact, one of the commentaries says that if you look at their three festivals, you look at Passover, you got 7 days, then you got Sukkot, 7 or 8 days, depending how you count it. And then Shavuot is one day in the middle. Why? Because he says the middle point could only be one. So it's the middle point that holds everything together. Shavuot may well be the most important of the holidays, and yet it is the least known. It's the least known and least understood, as we said. And you know, it's funny. I had one of our congregants today, Cliff. Those who know Cliff sent me a funny a cartoon. And this is what the cartoon said. The cartoon was a picture of the Jews at Mount Sinai holding the tablets, and some guy's taking a picture, and the caption is the origins of Shavuot, and he screams, cheese. That's what people think is the origins of guys, please mute yourselves. I can't do it. We're still working out some kinks. You have to mute yourselves, okay? Nessa, can you mute yourself? Because I actually don't. I can't do it from my end.
Rabbi, have you done?
Okay, good, very good. So people think that Shavuot's about eating cheesecake, and it's really so absurd because there is a custom to eat cheese. There is such a custom. You know, it's a custom. What's a custom? The custom, many people say, because when the Jews came back after hearing the Torah was given, so there are many laws on how to prepare the meat. You got to slaughter it. You got to drain the blood out. It's very complicated. So they needed to eat something fast that wouldn't be so difficult. And because now they have all the laws on how to eat them. So what happened was they ate dairy. But people think that that's the commandment, but it's weird. And if you think about it, it's even stranger because think about it a second. Passover has a lot of commandments. It has the matzah, has the maror, the bitter herbs, has the 4 cups of wine, has the seder. It's like a whole thing. Sukkot, on the other end, also has tons of commandments. It has the 4 species, the lulav, the etrog. It has the Sukkot, booths, tons of things we do. What do you do on Shavuot? You do nothing. Eating cheesecake is not a commandment. Maybe a tradition of remembering, very nice. But why is it that on the other holidays there's these tons of things that you do, and Shavuot, what do? You learn Torah. That's great. But there's no action you do. There literally is no action. There's tons of action on the other holidays. Shavuot has no actual thing you do, the physical thing you do. Why is that? What is this holiday about? Why do people not know what this holiday is? Okay. And as I said to you before, it's a shame because in a certain way, it is probably the most important holiday. Why? Because in this holiday, on Shavuot, is a time when God revealed the Torah. God spoke to an entire people. And therefore, this is the day that God connected and revealed himself in the world. And that was the awesome experience of the giving of the Torah Mount Sinai. As everyone knows, when you go and ask in any religion, there's a way to make up a religion. It's all the same. People that want to make a fake religion is all the same what they do. Here's what they do. Guy says, okay, listen, I had a vision. God spoke to me last night and told me there's a new religion. It's called Ingbarism, and you're in charge. Oh, okay, great. Wow, fantastic. Now, I come to you and I tell you, oh, listen, here's my religion. Now, if I'm charismatic enough, you might start to believe me. And that's the way fake religions start. You know why? Because there's no way to disprove what I'm saying. If you look at religions, they all started. It was a guy, he was saying something, people didn't like him, he ran away, he went here, Joseph Smith, he had to run away, he ended up in Utah, he was chased around, and then he got a bunch of people that believed in what he's saying. When you start a fake religion, you can say what you want to say. There's no way to disprove what the person's saying. There's only one religion that has ever said this claim, and only one will. The claim that an entire nation heard God speak. If you want to make a fake religion, you do not make that claim. You know why? Because it's completely refutable. If a guy comes along and says, God spoke to me, you can't disprove it. But if I say God spoke to you, and you say, no, he didn't, that's going to be disproven. And therefore, this experience of the giving of the Torah at Mount Sinai, where the entire nation heard it, and there was no way to fake it. You couldn't come along. I mean, imagine, people, we have here Jews, we have the Noachites, we have a lot of different people here, but those who know the Jewish people, they have their own point of view. They don't really accept ideas so easily. So if you imagine, somebody, Moses coming down and saying, hey, this is the Torah that God gave. And he spoke to all of us at Mount Sinai. And they would say, you crazy? It didn't happen. If it happened 500 years later, people would say, well, I didn't hear it from my grandparents. How could you prove this? Therefore, this moment is so important. It is the moment that God reveals himself in the world. And it's irrefutable because everyone that was in the desert, 600,000 army-age people, that's 3 million people, all experienced it, and no one denied it. And it was a historical reality of God's revealing himself to the nation. And it was so important. It was the moment that God really connected to his creation. So it was waiting for this. So I want to try to explain to you this evening what it is really about, and to understand the deeper meanings of what is going on here. Now, I got to give you first a question. I want you to imagine you have a couple and they get married. Let's say they get married January 1st. They're very happy. It's amazing. It's great. January 1st, they get married. 1 month later, they're fighting. They get a divorce. Divorced, finished, not going. Okay, fine. Then all these things happen. 6 months later, they end up getting married a second time on July 1st. And now they live happily ever after many, many years. My question for you is, what day should they celebrate their anniversary? January 1st, which ended in divorce, or July 1st, which was the successful marriage? Would seem like July 1st. That would seem to be the answer.
January 1st.
You think January 1st? Okay, so I'm gonna put you on hold a second because I know you're gonna steal the whole class of me. I know you're ready, Shmuel. You're gonna say a beautiful idea, and we're gonna take you at the end. Hold on. But most people would say July 1st because January 1st didn't work. Now, I got to tell you something about Shavuot. Shavuot was the holiday that didn't make it. It was a little train that I could have, I should, I can, but it couldn't. Why? What happened? Shavuot was the day that God spoke to the entire nation and they heard the 10 commandments. And they had this incredible experience. It says their soul was leaving their body, coming back and forth. They were actually dying and coming back to life because of the experience of hearing God speak. It was a transformative experience. It said they were able to see sound and hear vision. They had a completely outer body experience and a point of clarity, complete clarity. Every word of the Torah that came out, the sages tell us, they understood everything about everything. They had it was prophetic for everybody. But then what happened was Moshe stays in the mountain for 40 days to get the tablets. When he comes down, they're doing the sin of the golden calf. So he has to break those tablets and say, the deal is off. The marriage, so to speak, is broken. He has to stay on the mountain for another 2 sets of 40 days, praying that God doesn't destroy the Jewish people. The 40 days, God said he won't destroy them. 40 more days, so God totally accepts them with love. And they come down with the second set of tablets. And there's a new giving of the Torah. You know what day they came down with the second set of tablets? That was the Day of Atonement, Yom Kippur. That's why it's a Day of Atonement. It's not an accident. That's exactly what happened. You heard the commandments on Shavuot. 40 days later, they do the golden calf. The tablets were broken. That's the fast day of the 17th of Tammuz, a sad day. 40 days later, it ends up being the first day of the final month of Elul, the month of repentance. 40 days later, Moses comes out with the second set of tablets, and that is Yom Kippur, his Day of Atonement, because he gave us the new tablets. Wait a minute. So according to that, Shavuot really didn't work. It didn't succeed because the revelation that we were supposed to get at Mount Sinai on Shavuot, we fell from that. We needed a whole new system, a system of tshuva, of returning, saying, okay, so why are we even celebrating Shavuot? Shavuot didn't make it. It was the speaking that God spoke to us, which is embodied in the tablets, which end up being broken. So what is it? What about this holiday? Is it that we're celebrating exactly? That's a question I want to explain to you this evening. Again, two main questions. One is, why on Shavuot are there no actions that we do, like the matzah and the seder, or the Sukkot and the lulav and Esther? There's no actions. Shavuot is no actions. Just we learn Torah. That's question one. And question two is, why are we even celebrating if the embodiment of the getting of the Torah was the first tablets and they got broken? And it's the second set of tablets, which we got on Yom Kippur, which was the thing that lasted. That was the marriage that lasted. Why are we celebrating today? What really happened? What's going on? And guys, what we're going to explain to you is very, very, very important, because if you do it right, your world gets transformed. Okay, if you can get into Shavuot properly, it transforms your world, because you can understand tonight or today, depending where you are, what is going on right now that you could hopefully hook in to the power of this day, which is probably the most awesome of all days. Understand? So, what did we receive? We received the Torah. Okay, the 10 Commandments is not 10 commandments that are separate than the Torah, God forbid. They are the 10 principles through which the entire 613 commandments come out. They're not more important than any other commandments, but they are the principles. So we receive now the 10 commandments. We heard God saying them to us. We understood all the details. Moshe comes down with the tablets. But we have to understand, ladies and gentlemen, what is Torah? We're learning Torah. You got the Torah. What's Torah? Right? What is Torah? But what is Torah? And this is very, very important because people, if you think Torah is a book, okay, great. You know, there's a lot of books. Torah is not a book. That's a complete misunderstanding of what Torah is. So let me explain to you what Torah is on two levels. On the simple level, the word Torah is Shmuel is like the word Morah. What's a Morah? Morah is an instructor. The word Torah on the very, very basic level is your instruction manual how to live your life. That's the basic level. It's the instruction manual how to live. I always tell this story. It's a very important story. There was a rabbi. His name was Abba Meltzer. He was a rabbi, lived in Europe. He came to Israel. It came to Israel in the time in the beginning of the state. And in those days, they used to give you like basic bare necessities. They gave you like a hard bed and like a little Bunsen burner. You know, there's one stovetop burners and a chair and a table and a pillow, whatever. So they give him this little burner, so one stove burner, like a camping burner. And he gets the burner. And on the burner, he sees this little booklet that's hanging from the burner. And he's a European rabbi. He says, "What is this? What is this?" They say, "Rabbi, it's an instruction booklet, how to use the burner." So he goes, "Oh, this proves the Torah is true." They say, "What are you talking about? It's the booklet." "No, this proves the Torah is true." And then they don't always talk it. He's crazy. It's a booklet. They say, "What are you talking about? It's a little booklet. What's the proof the Torah is true?" He says, "Let me tell you something. You give me this one little burner, and you give me a 25-page instruction booklet how to use it. Do you think it's possible that God could create a body, a soul in this complicated world and not give an instruction manual how to use it? Not possible. It would be cruel. It's not possible. The Torah had to be given. God had to give an instruction booklet on how to live. And therefore, the first level of Torah is the idea of how to live your life, an instruction booklet, how to live your life. That's the very, very basic level. It's very great. It's great, great, great. I'm not minimizing that. It's really important. But it's infinitely times more than that. I want to explain to you the deeper meaning. The deeper idea is like this. Let's say I'm learning Torah. I'm learning, let's say, Talmud. And Talmud says, right, Eddie, Avram's learning Talmud in the Mir Yeshiva, you're learning on back and forth. So you learn this idea and you say, well, is this kosher or not kosher? Back and forth, back and forth. What is it you're trying to assess? What is it you're trying to understand? What you're trying to understand is, what does God say this is? When I'm understanding Torah, I'm saying, I am trying to understand God's thoughts, so to speak. And this is the very deep saying. It says in the Zohar, it says, Hashem and his Torah are one. Because the Torah is, so to speak, God's thoughts, so to speak. So when I'm reading the Talmud, I'm saying, well, this is what God says. He says this is this and this and this and this. So I'm connecting to God. I'm connecting to him, and his Torah are one in that sense. And that's the great analogy the great Baal Tanya says. He says that if you go to the king and you hug the king, let's say he's wearing one robe, 2 robes, 10 robes, 100 robes, it doesn't matter. Why? Because the king's inside of the robes. So when I learn Torah, I'm connecting to God himself. That's what Torah is. I'll tell you, I just have as an aside, I've shared this with many of you, but it's very deep, but it's really, really important. There's a question in the Talmud. It says, who wrote the last 8 verses of the 5 books? Why? The problem. It says, and Moshe died. So if Moshe died, he couldn't write the last 8 verses. So who wrote it? Well, it could have been Joshua, because Moshe could not give a Torah over fully. So Talmud says Moshe wrote it in tears, b'dema, and then what happened was Joshua came and wrote it in ink. That's what it seems to be saying. So Moshe wrote it, but he couldn't say Moshe died because that wouldn't be true. So he wrote it in some kind of indelible ink, and then Yeshua, sort of colored it in, so to speak. That's the simple explanation. It's a much, much, much deeper explanation. The word dema means mixed up. This is very, very deep idea. Avram, just to hear this was well worthwhile for you to come to America. Just hear this. So what does it mean? So it said like this. It says that the word dema can mean tears, but it can also mean mixed up, like in sort of a different form. The Kabbalists tell us that every word of Torah, if you break the letters up differently, in all the words would all be running names of God, running names of Hashem. But when you read the Torah on our level, it breaks up into words, sentences, stories, commandments. That means that when a person reads the Torah on level 1, he is reading the commandments, the stories. But in a deeper level, the words of the Torah, if you knew how to break them up differently, they would all just be running names of God. Meaning the Torah comes on every single level. That's why a Kabbalist who reads the first 5 verses of the Torah, he reads it one way, and a 5-year-old kid reads it another way. They're getting different levels for the same words. And therefore, the Gemara said the answer was that Moshe, when he wrote the last 8 verses, he wrote it in the breakup of the higher level of the breakup. He wrote it in God's names. And when Yeshua looked at it, he said, oh, wait a minute. I move the letter here. That spells out the sentences that Moshe intended. Now, I'm only sharing that idea with you because you need to understand something very, very, very deep, which is that the teaching of Torah is, on one level, is how to live your life, what to do, right or wrong. On the deeper level, what it is experiencing God. That's what it is. Even if it's on the low level, it's on the basic level. For you, me, stories, commandments. But on the deeper level, it goes on forever. And that's why Torah is not a book. Here's what it is. It's the infinite. It's impossible, isn't it? It's the infinite put into the finite. It's where God took what's not possible and put everything into this book that he gave to us that can contain the entire universe. It's infinite, but it's contained in the book of the Torah. So what is Torah on a deeper level? It's actually experiencing God. It's connecting to the deepest experience. And that's what it says, even the first commandment, the 10 commandments, Anochi. Normally in Hebrew you say Ani, I. So what's Anochi? What does it mean? God said, I am your God. The Talmud says Anochi stands for Ana Nafshis Kasifs Yehavis. I, God says, the word I, he said, I, myself, I wrote and I gave you myself. God gave us himself to connect to him to learn Torah. That's what Torah is. Okay, great. So now you understand what Torah is. One level, action, what to do and not to do. If you do the wrong things, you're going to be stuck. Deeper level, when you know what to do and not to do, you're connecting to the infinite. Now, let me explain something here. That's therefore very, very amazing. So, when Moshe came down with the tablets, he came down with one set of tablets, which got broken, and then he had another set that came later. And there's a fundamental difference between the 2 tablets. And the main difference between the 2 tablets is like this. The first tablets, it said that God gave the stone and the writing. The second set of tablets, Moshe had to bring up the stone. It says he had the sapphire stone that appeared in his tent. He had to hewn the stone. He brought the stone up, and God wrote on the stone. So what does that represent? The difference between whether God gave him the stone or he brought the stone. What does that mean? Let me explain something very, very, very powerful. Let's take the way you write something. You take, your pen and you write it on a paper. Okay, fine. So we can say the idea that I'm giving to you is the writing. I'm writing, hi, how are you? I love you. Okay, fine. So that's what I'm trying to convey to you. But I need a body to hold the idea. The stone is like the body, and the writing on the stone is like the meaning. It's like the soul. And therefore what? Therefore, when God gave the Torah in the beginning, he put the writing on the stone, meant the people were going to connect forever, both on the soul level and the body level, on both. The first tablets were body and soul from the heavens. And that's why it said the world was changed, was transformed. Because right now, God changed our physical bodies also. The second set of tablets, no. The writing was there, but the body was from the earth. Moshe to bring the body up. The body wasn't totally transformed. Let me explain this more. You know how the tablets were written? They weren't written on just scratched on. They were hollowed through and through. They were written that it went through the other side. What does that represent? When we heard God speak, those words impenetrated our bodies, and it was like one, just like when you carve into the stone, the message becomes one with the medium. So too here, when we heard God speak, that's why it's different reading a book than hearing someone speak. Because someone speaking, they're imparting themselves to you. When God spoke, those words became engraved on our physical beings. And that's what it means. It was carved in to the stone. The tablets were carved in because the hearing God speak transformed us. It became a part of our new understanding. We hit the level of connection to God that it says we would have lived forever. The world had been totally transformed. That is the experience of hearing the Torah on Mount Sinai. It was not just getting the law. It was the higher level, the connection to God that became built into our system, that became built into this entire universe. Once that happened, the world can never go back. The world was transformed. But we couldn't handle it. It was way above where we were. So we fell. It's in the golden calf. And sometimes in life, when you're on a high level and then you fall down, you strive to get back to that level, right? If there's ever a moment where you did something really, really well and you got it and you understood, and then you have like this reference point to say, oh, I want to come back to that because that moment I was so in tune. And you yearn for it. So we touch this level of the higher level, experiencing the Torah, experiencing God himself. And then we fell. And then we yearn to get back. And that was the second tablets. The second tablets come because we yearn to return to what we once had. And that's why the second tablets are given on the holiday of Yom Kippur. Because they're not the same level. It's a lower level, but it's a level that says, oh, I want to return to where I was. It didn't transform our body totally. We would still be in this world as we are in today. It's a different level. But it's still the soul has been penetrated into the body and it has its effect. This is what the deeper meaning is of the tree of life and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. The tree of knowledge of good and evil is the idea of do and don't do, what you can do, what you can't do. That's what I told you before. One level of Torah is instruction booklet. Do this, do that, what you can do, what you can't do. And that really is a lower level. It's very, very important, but it's a level of the way we understand Torah today. Do this, don't do that. But the deeper experience of getting the Torah is the ultimate and complete connection to the source, to God. And that was what happened today. It's like when God spoke, it was like the words were like breathing life into us as we were created. It breathed life and it became part of our deepest component. So what happened then? And what are we doing now? And the answer is, ladies and gentlemen, that in a certain sense, as I said to you in the beginning, Shavuot is a holiday that didn't make it. We couldn't maintain the level, but it's the high point of our existence that we can keep coming back to every year and touch. And that's why this day doesn't have any actions. There's no actions because it is the root, it is the soul of the experience. You have a body that does actions. You have the soul that enlivens the body. And during the other holidays, you do this, you do that, you do this, you do that. This day is hooking back into the source. There aren't physical actions because this day is about touching the experience of touching and experience the divine, experiencing God speaking to us. The holiday of Shavuot, therefore, couldn't last always. It will in the future. It'll be a point that you always come back to. And that's why the sages tell us to be very, very careful on Shavuot, how you live on Shavuot, because there's a place where you're touching the root of what you're about, your highest part of your soul that was connected to God. That's what you're doing. And it comes back and you taste it and you touch it and you can't stay on there. Very often in life, you have moments where you work really hard at something, but you can't maintain that all the time. You're doing an amazing diet, you're doing an amazing project, but you're high intensity and you could touch something, but you can't live on that level, but you touched it. And that's what's going on. This night that's coming back to us is the night where we touched the experience of our root and experience hearing God talk. And that was the ultimate. That was the tree of life. You get a chance to experience again tonight. Now, on this broadcast, we have people from a lot of different backgrounds. We have people that are Jewish, people that are not Jewish who keep the righteous laws of Noah. I want to give everyone what they have to do for this night. Okay. Let me tell you, I'll start with the Noachites a second, people that are not Jewish that keep the 7 righteous laws. There was a problem that the non-Jews had on the Torah. There's 2 problems. One is they didn't want it. Different nations didn't accept it. But something else happened that is problematic that I believe needs to be fixed up. There's a verse in Psalms that says, Hashem God gives his strength to his people. God should bless people in peace. And the commentaries say that what happened was when God gave the Torah, the whole world was shaking. Okay, because it was a transformative experience. So everyone knew something was going on. But the Jews were in the desert, and people were living in other places. People living in wherever they were, different Iraq, Iran, Jordan, different places of the world. So they didn't know what was happening, but they felt something was crazy, something was going on. So they went to the prophet, whose name was Bilam. And Bilam was a very insightful person, and the nations of the world asked, "What's going on? Is there a earthquake? Is the world blowing up? What's happening?" He said, no, don't worry. It says, God's giving the Torah to his people. And the nations of the world said, very nice, very wonderful. God should bless them in peace. Very good. Now that's something that's good. That means these people were happy that the Torah was being given. But it's also a big shortcoming because the Torah is being given. You want to say, oh, what can I do? How can I be involved? How can I help? To say, yeah, it's good, whatever they do is fine, doesn't matter, good, as long as they're happy. People say to you a lot of times, they say, what do you do? And you say, it doesn't matter, as long as you're happy. Well, it's important, what are you doing? So when Bilam told them that they get in the Torah, they just said, whoa, we want to participate, we want to do something. They didn't. Ladies and gentlemen, those that are righteous non-Jews, you got to think, this is a very important night. What can you do? How can you go and be part of letting people know about the Torah? Not just to say, they're doing it. People that are Jewish have to realize they don't always understand that today is that day where they have to realize that they heard God speak, and they have to motivate themselves. And that's why the famous, statement, some people stay up all night, learn Torah. The idea of it is because you're hooking back into that experience. And if you do nice things, they're all actions, they're good, but you need the juice, you need the fuel, you need the light that could move the body. The light itself is the Torah, and the source of it is from God's speech to us. And that is the potential of this day of Shavuot, to touch again that level of going back into the source, to experience the endless. Okay, guys, so that is my thought, and I am going to open it up to questions.
I have a question.
Okay, can you show your face or no?
Sure, here I am. Huh?
Okay.
Did the women slept also? Why aren't they not taking upon themselves the minhag of learning all night? Did the Beit Yaakov also slept, or we were cool on that area too?
Yeah, very good. I'm going to ask you, I said this in some other class recently. I said in the Gemara class. This is an amazing thing. So what Ayel's referring to is, some people say the reason why is a custom stay up all night was because the night before they got the Torah, the Jews slept. And God had to sort of wake them up. Moses had to get them out, wake them up, which was like, okay, you're excited about something. You don't go to sleep the night before. You're having your big day. You're going to meet the king.
They party hard.
What's that?
They party hard.
They party hard, yeah. So it's really weird, So that's what the Magen says that. So that's one of the explanations. But I yell at there's a commentary that says that God forbid they did the wrong thing. They did the wrong thing. Isaiah Cohen says that's not right. He did the wrong thing. What happened was, he says that before the Torah was given, after the Torah was given, a person could stay up all night and work in Torah, and could sort of have the hard work of what's called the oral Torah, understanding the truth, and that sort of burns out whatever negativity. So he says that before the Torah was given, how would they nullify their negativity and connect to God in that way and nullify themselves? They didn't have a Torah yet. So he says that they did that through sleep. They went to sleep saying, okay, prophecy was given through sleep. And I'm giving myself over to you, God, and I want to get the words of prophecy. And it was then a righteous act. So if Tzaddik says that today we don't do that, today we have the Torah, so we work hard at nullifying ourselves to be able to receive the Torah. So the answer, first of all, is I don't think that, according to some people, it was the wrong thing they did. That's one. Now, according to that, though, I could also answer your question differently about women, because according to that, or Tzaddik is saying the main part about the learning before Shavuos is the Talmudic learning, which is to burn out the negativity, which is not the area that a woman needs to focus on. Okay, so anyway, the answer to your question is that women can learn, men can learn. By the way, I mean, it's a good thing to do. Today, most learners do it. It used to be done only by very few people. We heard in our yeshiva that Rav Scheinberg said if you're going to learn more Torah throughout the day by sleeping, then you should do that instead of trying to stay up all night and you crash the whole day. Everyone should figure out what they want to do, because the Arizal does say if you stay up all night and you learn all night, nothing bad will happen to you that year. If you learn the whole night, not if you fool around because hanging out, then it's the same thing as sleeping. So anyway, it's a custom. Nick, can you mute the thing, Nick? Because I can't mute you anymore. Nick, could you mute yourself? Because I can't do this from here.
Început să reintre în normal. N-a început să reintre în normal. Păi nici aici încă, dar
Nick, can you mute yourself? Nick, if you're there, I can't mute him from here. All right, and that's the idea. Yeah. Technology. So anyway, so the idea is that some people say, I'm sorry, Nick, could you mute yourself?
Oh, a fost și astăzi.
Can you mute yourself? Is there one of the languages? Divine, you recognize the language there?
Russian, no?
Oh,
Portuguese, right?
Are corect.
Did you recognize the language?
Oh, Doamne.
Okay.
Rabbi, for a big.
No.
Okay, yeah. Trying to listen, but I can't do it. We have to end now. Try one more time. Nick, can you mute your mic? Nick, right. Ma'am, hello. Okay. Yeah, try over one more time. Yeah. So anyway, that's the idea. Yell it. Good thing to do. Not mandatory. Good thing to do. Women can do it. It's not necessarily the area that women have to focus on in terms of their service to do that, and therefore they don't have to do that, even if they did sleep. Sleeping might not have been itself been a sin. According to Ratzak Cohen, it was not a sin. It's just that now, today, we have the Torah, so we can nullify ourselves to the work of Torah, and you can nullify yourself by going to sleep. So can other people. If you need to sleep, go to sleep tonight and say, I'm connecting to God. I'm willing to give myself over. So if you can learn. Today you have a Torah and you could do that. But it seems that according to Ratzak, that was not the way. According to him, it was not wrong what they did. But today we have another way to do it. And a woman can do it. It's not necessary to be the way that she could connect. She could make other ways too. Good. Other questions, comments? We get one more question or thought?
So we were ready to see the night before. We were already in the 50th guest before. How does it work? Like we were in the 49 level when we went to sleep, and only when we got the Torah, we were in the 50th. No? How could we get prophecy?
Well, no, they had prophecy the day that they arrived at Mount Sinai, 6 days earlier. So you don't need to do the 50th level of prophecy. So they already had a certain high level. They just didn't, they got a higher level when they got the Torah, of course. But they wanted a certain prophetic experience, which, by the way, that would be at sleep. Sleep prophecy is lower than day prophecy. That's why Moses got day prophecy. He was the only prophet who didn't go into a dream state to get prophecy. The other prophets did. So when we got the Torah, we were also clear. We weren't in a dream state. But the night before, they thought that might be the preparation. That's what one commentary says. It's how the commentary.
Rabbi?
Yes.
This is Mary Lou.
Hey, Mary.
Hi. I was just wondering, and you probably covered this before, but I didn't get it. What was the purpose of the second going up to Sinai? I know the third one was he received the Torah the second time. What was the purpose of the second?
The second time was he had to get forgiveness because God had said he was going to destroy the Jewish people. So the first 40 days was with a great connection and a positive relationship. The last 40 days was the same. The middle 40 days were in the balance, and Moshe had to pray for the Jewish people and maintain their situation and sort of be their emissary. So the middle 40 days was still praying for them. When he came down at the end of the second 40 days, he told them that God has forgiven you. Now prepare yourself for 40 more days and you get the second tablets. And that's why the custom is that he went the last 40 days was the new month of Elul, which is the month of tshuva, a month of returning, repentance. And that's why we blow the shofar in Elul, because he blew the shofar then and said, okay, remember, don't fall, because you're in the 40 last days now, like you were before, and you shouldn't, get yourself confused. So the last 40 was preparation and positive, as was the first 40. The middle 40 was working out the issues that we had as a nation to repent, and Moshe being our emissary to pray to Hashem to accept our repentance.
It was probably also a test for them to see if they could hold out 40 days.
Yeah, I mean, that's why you have to understand the whole thing is obviously on many levels. 40 days is a significant number. 40 days is how much a child is, the formation of a child is 40 days. So 40 days represents the idea of, like, we know now, and the Torah says that 40 days the fetus, most of its organs are formed. Science caught up to us, and they said it recently in the past, I think 20, 30 years, they said it takes the first 6 weeks is when most of the child is formed, is 40 days. So 40 days on many levels is the formation of something new. That's why the flood was 40 days to build a new world. A child is 40 days for formation. So every 40-day cycle was the cycle for them to be able to reach that new level. First level was to get the first tablets, which they couldn't handle. Second level was to get themselves prepared and to get out of the funk they had fallen into. The last 40 were to go into elevate themselves to the new experience of the second tablets. Good.
Right,
any other questions? Sure.
I got a question.
Yeah.
About 40 days, it kind of seems like the context with these 40 or the number 400, it seems like, yes, it's birthing a new beginning, but it also seems like a punishment, like the flood, somebody does something wrong to get 40 lashes in Makkah. There's, 40 years in the desert, 40 days on Har Sinai. So can you address that?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, every number is very, very significant. So the number 4 and numbers, the way they work is there's in the single digits, and then when they multiply them times 10, times 100. But the same theme is for the smaller digit. So there's like 4 is the root of it, and then there's 4 times 10, 40, 4 times 100, 400. So what is 4? So 4 is a potentially problematic number. Why? Because 4 represents the 4 winds, and it therefore can represent the idea of being spread out. And that's why the Hebrew letter for 4 is the Dalet. The Dalet is Aleph Bet Gimel Dalet. Dalet, the word Dalet is poor. Dal in Hebrew means dalut, means poverty, because it represents the physical expansion of something. Okay? You need to have the 5th one as a center point to hold it together. But if the 4 winds being thrown to the 4 winds means that you're dispersed and you're not connected. So 4 very often is the cycle of the physical expansion in the world, which could be good because it's expanding, but if it's not focused on a center point, if it's not connected, it spreads out and becomes negative. So 4 is therefore that possibility to go and to take a expansion of 4, which could be bad, and then bring it together. That's why the letter of the female is the letter Hey. It's a Dalid, right? It's a dollar, it's the 4, it's the physical world. And then that little yud in the bottom is like the seed she takes and brings in the physical world and makes the world expand. So 4, therefore, is expansion in a way that can be negative. It can also be positive if it's a new beginning. But you're right. There are times where therefore 4 is, okay, 40 days, the world is destroyed. It'll be a new beginning. 400 years in Egypt means that, okay, you're going to leave this state and come to another state. But so sometimes it is negative when it's 4, but that's only when it spreads out to different ways without being unified. The 5th is called the unifier of the thing, and that's even the letter, like the letter hey, which is called the female letter, is literally a dalid, and then it takes the seed and it makes it into a hey, so it unifies it. The woman brings the spirituality into the expansion of the 4. That's the female quality. The male quality is the yud. The female quality is to take the concept and then connect it to the 4 ways, the expansion of the physical world, and make it meaningful. So that's the idea of 4, 40, 400. That's the concept. Very good. Good question. All right. Time for one more question. Any other questions? Avram, you got a question over there? Shmuel, you have something to say. Come on.
Rabbi,
I want to wish everyone Chag Sameach.
Chag Sameach. Thanks a lot, Shmuel.
Chag Sameach, everyone. Yep.
Chag Sameach. Sandy, you had a question, Sandy? The last question.
Question/comment. The importance, we remember this day every year, but it's also the second of the 6 daily remembrances. So it's not just something to be remembered once a year, but it's something to be thought about every day, the day that we stood at Mount Sinai and received the Torah.
Right, that's right. But the difference is that since tonight, today, tomorrow, I mean, it's when it happened, there is a re-experiencing of that. Like I said to you many times, there is no such thing. The holidays are not commemorative. That's not what they are. They're not, the idea is not, oh, it's a holiday to remember that. That's not what it is. The holiday is that the same power that happened then is happening now. So when you now come to Shavuot, and that's why I gave this class, because you're going to have to strip away some stuff to be able to go and to feel it. But it's important to do that because you have the potential tonight to really tune in, tonight and tomorrow, to tune into something that is beyond your normal life. And you got to do that. All right.
Okay. Nice. Good.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Have a good one. Have a good Shavuot. Take care, everybody.
Good. Chag Sameach.
Thank you. Chag Sameach.
Thank you. Uplifting. Amen.
Chag Sameach.